That's why we've had to say for the last 12 years, like in the sports business, how their spirits. The reason we got it, all those years of watching entertainment shows, where some Hollywood movie star gets beaten up by a wheat combine or a movie shoot, the PR person goes, he's resting comfortably in good spirits. I'm like, he was beaten up by a wheat combine. If you're resting comfortably in good spirits, I want to find out what kind of thing. We're talking about your spirits. I hate PR. A lot of that useless. People think they're those who can't get the beat. It's just Major League Ball or NFL, there's so much control. I can actually stand on this is why as the teams go, Can you still know? He's got more days. Oh, did you finally have one of those? Because he's for football. Yeah. No. As far as I know, he's got the experience. Camera not doesn't choose. Yeah, it's such a smart I'm looking for today. One of them. TJ. We got people shooting Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm back in at 3. All right. Thank you. Take a seat. Good morning. Thank you. Wait. Counsel, or the plaintiff, please introduce yourself and your client.
Your Honor, my name is Dan Arian, and I represent plaintiff David Walker.
Good morning. I'm ready.
Yes, sir. May it please this very honorable court, last night the court received a letter from Mr. Blonsky, attorney for the defendant. The last paragraph I'd like to read into the record states, we await you're taking the requested action, and as we do so, we will, of course, suspend further participation in these proceedings, including the hearing scheduled for January 26th. As the court can see, neither the defendant nor the defendant's attorneys are here. The Secretary of State responded with a letter to Mr. Blonsky last night stating that if they don't show up, it will be at their own peril. Your Honor, the plaintiff calls the plaintiff, Mr. David Walker.
Please. Counsel, you have 30 minutes. Can I? Sir, we used to have that raise up.
There's no testimony after this approved all of the I think I will prove so I'll be happy.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
David Weldon
Where do you live?
in Powder Springs, Georgia, in Cobb County.
Are you registered to vote in the state of Florida?
Yes, I am.
Showing the witness is the mark for identification plaintiff's one. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the birth certificate that I downloaded from the White House .gov website. It's a birth certificate professed to be of Barack Hussein Obama II.
And you see an item on line 8. I'm sorry, excuse me, on item 11. Can you read that?
Yes, so the item 11 says the birthplace is Kenya, East Africa.
And I'm referring
That is the birthplace of the father.
move to have exhibit plaintiff mark for identification plaintiff is in one in the record.
That is one to the right. That's all I have for this witness. Thank you, sir.
Only Kenneth Allen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I gave up another item for this witness. I apologize.
Referring the witness to what has been marked for identification as exhibit 3. What is that? Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I am.
What is it?
This is pages 214 and 215 of a book authored by Barack Obama entitled Dreams from My Father.
Can you read the highlighted portions?
Yes, the portions that I highlighted.
Sorry for
The portions that I highlighted, our first one is on page 214, where I just highlighted a couple lines to indicate the time frame within the book. And this was in 1966 or 67, according to Mr. Obama. The section on page 215, I highlighted with the purpose of illustrating some history of his father. And his father had been having trouble with obtaining employment up to this point. And I'm going to quote here, it says, when he went to foreign companies to look for a post, the companies were warned not to hire him. He began looking abroad and was hired to work for the African Development Bank in Addis Ababa. But before he could join them, the government revoked his passport and he couldn't even leave Kenya.
That's all I have for this witness reminding. Who's calling, witness Kenneth Allen? Referring the witness to what has been marked for identification as Plaintiff's Exhibit 2. And move that Plaintiff's Exhibit marked for identification as directly moved in the record. Are you familiar with the document that I just handed to you?
I am.
What is it?
Well, it's from Immigration Naturalization Services, and it actually it's about Barack Obama Sr. And it was noticed as F1 student immigration status.
And what is the date at the bottom of this document?
June 27, 1962.
There's a fourth number at the top of the document. Can you read that up?
Yeah, it's 1-208, 220D.
What's your understanding of the purpose of this document?
Well, this document actually helped him get into the University of Harvard.
What does it say about his status as a citizen of the United States?
Well, he's not a citizen of the United States. It says his status, he's from Africa.
How did you come to obtain this document?
Through a Freedom of Information Act that I filed in February of 2011.
And is this the copy? Is this copy an accurate copy of the document that you received from the Freedom of Information Act?
It is. It is.
And for the record, I'd like to read Georgia Code section 2414, matters judicially recognized. Judicially recognized matters. I'm quoting, the laws of the United States and of the several states, customs of merchants, and all similar matters of public knowledge shall be judicially recognized without the introduction of proof. I read that to point out the fact that this document, under not only Georgia statute, judicially recognized but under Georgia precedent, should fall within the business records exception to hearsay exception. That's all I have for this witness, and that's the close of the evidence for Mr. Weldon. And I believe that I can cover it in 20 minutes, Your Honor. As I stated before, our hope here is to help the court understand what our core argument is. What we're trying to show here is that Barack Obama, by the evidence, Barack Obama's father was not a United States citizen at the time of the defendant's birth. And under Article 2 of the United States Constitution, that means that he is not a natural born citizen, as was defined by the Supreme Court in Minor v. Happersett. In Minor v. Happersett, the court recognized three categories of people: natural born citizens, and everybody else. Now, the court also noted that all natural-born citizens are citizens, but not all citizens are natural-born citizens. There are 3 paths to citizenship in the United States, all of them founded within the Constitution. The first one is Article 2 natural-born citizen, as defined by the Minor Set. The second one is naturalized citizens, which is defined by Congress as they are authorized to do under Article 1. And then there's the 14th Amendment. Now, it should be noted that all naturalized citizens that are naturalized under Congress's authority under Article 1 cannot be natural-born citizens, specifically because Congress does not have the authority to alter the Constitution other than through the amendment process. So therefore, all of the statutes and laws, whether or not they purport to define the term natural-born citizen, do not, because they cannot alter Article 1. Now, the 14th Amendment is a separate issue, but it also does not include natural-born citizens for reasons that I'll get to in a moment. In order to get there, we first have to remind ourselves that the rules of construction were set forth by the early Supreme Court in Marbury v. Madison, and have been followed ever since by every court. The rules of construction that are applicable here are, first, under Marbury v. Madison, Chief Justice Marshall stated that no clause in the Constitution can be construed in a way by any court that would leave it without independent meaning. Now, a corollary to this rule, is any future amendments to the Constitution must not be construed in a way that removes independent meaning from another clause unless that amendment specifically states that it's changing the earlier clause, or there's no way to construe that amendment in any other way other than changing the earlier clause. So with that rule of construction in mind, we look at the fact that the minor court defined a natural-born citizen, and that definition was, it was never doubted that all children born in a country of parents who were its citizens become themselves upon their birth citizens also. These were natives or natural-born citizens as distinguished from aliens or foreigners. So there's 2 elements to this definition. First, both parents have to be citizens at the time that the defendant was born, and the defendant had to have been born in the country. Now, a lot of people say that this is dicta, and that therefore the court doesn't have to follow it. It's persuasive, but it's simply dicta. That is absolutely incorrect. We will prove that beyond any doubt, starting by looking at the definitions of holding, dicta, and precedent. The definition from Black's Law of holding is a court's determination of a matter of law pivotal to its decision. Dicta is the opposite. A court's discussion of points or questions not raised by the record, or its suggestion of rules not applicable in the case of bar. Now, as precedent, a case becomes precedent only for such a general rule as is necessary to the actual decision reached. What I'm going to show is that the definition for minor was pivotal to the decision of that court, and is therefore holding of that court, and therefore precedent, which is binding in Supreme Court precedent, binding on every court in this country. The definition was what the minor court had to decide was whether or not Ms. Minor was allowed or had a right to vote into the 14th Amendment. However, it specifically stated that before it got to that part of the question, it first had to determine whether or not she was a citizen. Well, using the well-known doctrine of judicial restraint, the Supreme Court will not reach will not construe a constitutional clause if it does not have to answer the question presented. And in this case, Minor was born in the United States and had both parents were citizens at the time she was born. So therefore, what the court did was it defined a natural-born citizen, and then specifically said she's a natural-born citizen. Therefore, we don't have to determine whether or not she's a citizen under any other rule. It was pivotal that she was a natural-born citizen. The definition they came to was part of the holding and binding precedent. Now, there's other language in this paragraph that others point to as saying, well, there was doubts about this particular definition, even if it's precedent. Because the paragraph goes on to say some authorities go further and include as citizens children born within the jurisdiction without reference to their citizenship of their parents. However, the court should be recognized also that the term citizen is not natural born citizen. And the term citizen was specifically defined by the minor court on the previous page. In fact, they spent at least a couple of paragraphs discussing what a citizen was and describing how it's a very broad term. And at the end of that, they concluded that when they say citizen, they mean nothing more than this broad, nebulous term that they don't need to define and can't define. And in fact, the rest of the paragraph goes on to reflect this judicial restraint that the minor court was using when they say, for the purposes of this case, it is not necessary to solve these questions about the doubt of what a citizen is. It's sufficient for everything we have to now consider that all children born of parents within the jurisdiction are themselves citizens. In other words, minor is a natural born citizen, therefore she's a citizen, and they moved on to the next question, which was construing not the whole 14th Amendment, but just what rights arise from the 14th Amendment, whether or not she should have the right to vote. And by the way, that court held that the 14th Amendment does not create any new privileges or immunities. Therefore, someone who's not qualified as a natural born citizen to run for president before the 14th Amendment does not have that right, because the 14th Amendment didn't create any new rights. They don't have that right excuse me, after the 14th Amendment. So, that's the holding of minor. A lot of people say that minor was overruled by Kim Long-Art. That's absolutely not true. The holding of Kim Long-Art is right up here, and it's very limited. Lots of caveats, there's lots of conditions, but the point is that the minor court, the Kim Long-Art court was determining what the minor court had left behind. The minor court had said, we're not going to determine what a citizen is under the 14th Amendment, because we don't have to, because she's a natural born citizen. The Kim Long-Art court had that case because they had Kim Long-Art, whose parents weren't citizens when he was born, but he was born here, is he a citizen? They answered that question, and that's all they answered. Everything else that they answered, everything else that's in there, anything that could possibly be construed to change the holding of minor, the definition of natural born citizen under minor, was dicta, and is therefore not binding, and certainly under the rules of construction cannot overrule an earlier holding. Dicta certainly cannot overrule holding. So the point here is, these cases don't conflict. They might look like they conflict if you read them, but if you look at the holding of Kim Long-Art and the holding of minor, they don't conflict. And when they clearly don't conflict, they certainly don't overrule each other. If anyone was to argue that the minor definition of natural born citizen is unclear as to whether or not it's required to have one parent or both parents, I would like it stated for the record that the minor court's definition of natural born citizen uses the term parents. Parent is the singular. If the court wanted to use parent, it could have used parent. If the court meant mother, it could have used mother. If it meant father, it could have used father. It used the term parents, and that has to be given, again, a rule of construction. It's plain meaning. Plain meaning here is called parents, so that argument doesn't apply. In closing, this case is about the Constitution. Holding public office is not about the individual. It's about service to the public. Anyone who's run for public office ought to know that. And that means that even if an individual has an unfortunate situation where they can't rise to the level that they want to, politics is not a typical career field where we want the person to rise as far as they can. Politics is about service to the public, and that should be kept in mind. And my final comment, excuse me, let me make the point for the record. We've shown, I believe, that Barack Obama's father was not a citizen of the United States ever. Certainly during the time period when Barack Obama was born. I don't think that's ever been disputed by the defendant himself, and that means he is not constitutionally qualified to hold office. It's not a statement about his ability, it's a statement about his constitutional qualifications. Finally, the defendant was ordered to be here today. He's not here. His attorneys are even boycotting this hearing. And I want to state it on the record that shows not just a contempt for this court, but a contempt for the judicial branch. And I'm not interested in commentary on that. But you done your argument. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Thank you very much. Counsel, will you please introduce yourself and your
I am counsel for Paul Swenson and Kevin Powell for living. My co-counsel and my brother Tom is here with me as well. Wanted to raise two issues before I undertake the attendance. First of all, before we have a motion filed for determination of placing the voting proof in this case, and which is pending. The other thing, Your Honor, is on January the 19th, I submitted to opposing counsel Michael Blonsky filed with this court a notice to produce, which was directed to the defendant, Barack Obama, in this case. I know that Mr. Obama is not here today, nor is his counsel here today, and I would note that the court has authority under OCBA 50-13-13B to take appropriate steps to punish any contempt of this court, which results from the failure to appear at to produce the records and documents that have been subpoenaed in this case, and we would commend that to the court. In that connection, I would like to, at this time, tender plaintiff's exhibit number 10, which is a copy of the White House schedule for today, January 26, 2012, which shows no permanent schedule. Judge, I would tender that into the record.
Okay. You want to mark it as exhibit 10. It's an appendix of the record. Counsel, you have 20 minutes.
Yes, sir. Call Mr. Carl.
I do.
Will you say your name, please, full name?
Carl Swenson. Carl Alfred Swenson, Jr.
Mr. Swenson, where do you live? What's your address?
6553 Pleasant Valley Drive in Morrow, Georgia.
What county is that in?
Clayton.
Mr. Swenson, are you a registered voter in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I am.
And were you a registered voter in the state of Georgia at the time that you submitted the challenge which initiated this case?
Yes, I was.
And are you qualified and able to vote for candidates for president of the United States as voter in Georgia?
Yes, I am.
If I may approach you on it. So you went in pre-marked plaintiff's exhibit number 2, asking if you could identify that compilation set of documents.
Yes, these are, the first one is from the Secretary of State acknowledging that the challenge has been accepted by this court, as is the second page. And the third page is the applicable laws and regulations pertaining to this case. The fourth page is Secretary of State Kemp's acknowledgement that they are going to put this, let's see, This is from the Democratic National Chair that notifies the Secretary of State Obama is going, candidate Obama is going to be on the ballot. And the next page, official challenge, is what I sent to Mr. Kemp, requesting this particular hearing and having him be on notice that I was challenging Obama's being on this ballot.
And then the last page that's in that record, is that a voter record that indicates that for you as a voter in the state of Georgia?
Yes, it does.
Okay. The challenge that computers within that document, within that set of documents, is that the challenge that you filed initiating this case with the Secretary of State's office?
Yes, sir.
Do you file that challenge within the time limit allowed by law for filing the challenge after the qualifying period is presidential candidate?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, with that, I would tender plaintiff's exhibit number 2 in that.
Exhibit 2 is in the record.
Mr. Swenson, you must say. Oh, Kevin Powell.
Yes, I do.
You state your full name for the record.
Kevin Richard Powell,
I will give us your address.
2633 Davenham Lane, Duluth, Georgia, 30096.
What county do you live in?
Gwinnett County.
Okay. And are you a registered voter in the state of Georgia?
Yes, sir.
At the time that you initiated the challenge or filed the challenge to initiate this case, were you a registered voter in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I was.
And are you able, as a registered voter in the state of Georgia, to cast a ballot for president of the United States?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'll show you what's in Mark Plaintiff's exhibit number 3. I'll ask you to identify that for me.
This is from Linda Ford to Chief Clerk, the candidate qualifications challenge for Barack Obama, and it has the Georgia code.
Mr. Powell, let me sort of say for you.
Yes, sir.
Is that composite exhibit a record of the challenge that you filed with the Secretary of State's office, challenging Barack Obama's candidacy in this case, and the related documents that were generated by the Secretary of State's office?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. I would kind of plaintiff's exhibit number, is that number 3?
Yes, it is.
Is that plaintiff's exhibit number 3? Plaintiff's exhibit number 1, Mr. Powell, is that in fact a letter from Mr. Michael Berlin, the chairman of the Georgia Democratic Party, submitting the name of Barack Obama as the sole Democratic candidate for president in 2012.
Yes, it is.
Move to tender plaintiff's exhibit number 1.
Number 1.
Next, show you plaintiff's exhibit number 4. Mr. Powell, can you tell us what that is?
This is the divorce records for Stanley Ann Dunham and Barack Obama Sr.
Okay. Those were from the state of Hawaii.
Yes, they were.
And that would include the divorce action and a final judgment and decree of divorce between those parties. Is that correct?
Yes.
Those, to your knowledge, are the parents of Barack Obama, who is president of the United States.
Yes, sir.
So, tender plaintiff's exhibit number 4. Yeah.
Number 4 is in the record.
We'd like to show you next plaintiff's exhibit number 7. Ask you to recognize that.
This is the official certification of nomination from the Democratic Party for the 2008 general election that I received from the Secretary of State's office, and it is officially certifying the nomination of Barack Obama.
And that is a certified copy from the
Yes, it
Secretary.
is.
So, tender plaintiff's exhibit number 7.
This is the official certified copy of the certificate of nomination for the president, but this is for the Republican National Committee, and it's a certified copy from the Secretary of State.
Continue claims exhibit number 8 and that. In connection with that exhibit, Mr. Powell, let me just ask you real quickly. Those were the certificate of nomination claims exhibit 7 and 8. Certificates of nomination submitted by the Democrats and the Republicans respectively in 2008. Is there language on the Republican certificate that is not contained on the Democratic certificate that's relevant to this case?
Yes, sir, very much so. The Republican language says that the candidate meets the constitutional requirements for the office of the President of the United States. And the Democratic certificate of nomination says the following were duly nominated as candidates of the said party for president. It does not include the, it does not state that they are qualified according to the Constitution.
So you connect to Mark Hughes exhibit number 11. You will identify that for me.
This is from a government webpage, and it is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and it's an interpretation with regard to the delineation between natural-born citizen, naturalization, and a native citizen. And
Is that something that was a printout from a United States government source?
yes, sir, it is. I saw this myself as well.
And that's from United States Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Yes, sir.
We would tender claims to number 11. And finally, claims to number 12, Mr. Powell. And would you recognize that?
This is the letter from Obama's attorney, Michael Jablonski, to Brian Kemp with regard to these hearings.
This was the letter that was sent and received yesterday.
Yes, sir. Indicating that they did not want these proceedings to go forward and they did not want to participate.
The tender claims exhibit number 12. Mr. Powell, you can come down. We call Kenneth Allen. Judge, while he's taking the stand, I would also like to tender a copy of, as plaintiff's exhibit number 9, a copy of the book Dreams from My Father, which is authored by the defendant, Barack Obama.
I did.
And Judge, that was admitted, is that correct?
Yes.
Will you give us your full name, please?
Yes, Kenneth E. Allen.
Mr. Allen, where do you live?
I live in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. And Mr. Allen, back in February of 2011, did you submit a Freedom of Information Act request to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services?
I did.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been marked plaintiff's exhibit number 6 for identification. Ask you if you can identify that for me.
I can.
What is that?
That's the disc I received from the Citizenship and Immigration Services with 181 pages of documents and an introductory letter from, from the department.
Okay. Do you have the original response that you received in that original disc with you here today?
I do.
And you would like to retain those originals for use in other proceedings, is that true?
Yes.
Is the plaintiff's exhibit number 6 a true and accurate depiction of the response that you received from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service in response to your February 2011 Freedom of Information Act request?
Yes, it's identical.
And Mr. Allen, if you will just tell us briefly, what was the substance and the general substance of the documentation that would be requested from the USCIS and that you received back?
Well, the request was for any documents that related strictly to Barack Obama Sr.
That's the father of the defendant, Barack Obama.
Yes. Stanley N. Dunham, Santoro, Obama, which would be his mother, and Lolo Santoro, which would have been his stepmother. But I received this, and it was kind of split. You had Barack Obama Sr., and then some documents on Stanley N., and then we followed through with Lolo Santoro.
Okay. Based on the response that you received from the Freedom of Information Act request, and it is contained in the documentation in place in Exhibit number 6, were you able to determine whether Barack Obama Sr. was ever a citizen of the United States?
Never.
He was never?
Never a citizen.
All right, I would tender Your Honor's letter to Exhibit number 6 in evidence.
Number 6.
Mr. Allen, you may step down. Judge, assuming that my exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 have been admitted to redress. Thank you.
Let's take a short break.
And then I read the case study, I thought he's wrong. And another part said, it's that big. When I finally told him what he's going to
It's all right. All right.
Do you have the same chances?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, can I get everyone's attention, please? 1 second. Yes, sir.
I would ask the court, go ahead and close the record at this time on my case, Mr. Powell, and my understanding is Mr. Van would like the same thing with this case.
Yes, sure.
And that, so we still, stick to the schedule as far as February 5th for submitting briefs and trying to get back to conclusion.
We could submit a copy.
Okay.
Sooner is fine with me.
Good with corporation of it.
Yes, you're right. counsel, what's your name? Would you introduce yourself and your client, please? Counsel, before you start, I'm going to give you 2 hours maximum. 12:50. Include that 12:50. If you can do it a little bit faster.
David Farrar, Farrar. Yes, I do. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Okay, counsel, hold on. What is this?
This is a clip from the news, just showing that when Mr. Obama resided in Indonesia, it shows a book of records from Indonesia showing his last name in the book of records listed as Soetoro and nationality Indonesian, not U.S. citizen.
I don't need to see the video. That's all I need.
That's it. So,
Okay.
okay. Can we go back a little bit?
Counsel, I don't think that's relevant.
Okay, well, in order for one, first of all, in order for one to be on the ballot in the state of Georgia, it needs to be under a name that is legally.
Okay, you can argue that to me, but I don't need to see the video.
Okay,
What's the next?
It states that he was registered in the book of records in the school in Indonesia where he studied, which was a sixth school in Jakarta, Indonesia, and the last name is Soetoro. I will not go into detail. I will not go into detail into the issue of what natural born citizen is, because I have limited time. A prior counsel already stated this.
Counsel, please address the court, not the
I
audience.
will be using the same precedent of Minor Haberset, and I will also state that since the Constitution was adopted, the legal treatise that was commonly used by the framers of their Constitution was never held, a well-known.
Counsel, are you arguing or are you
It's my opening
testifying?
statement. That's my opening statement.
Please step up to the podium.
Maria Bell, who was a well-known scholar and constitutionalist, and diplomat, stating that natural-born citizen, and it was the regime that existed at the time the Constitution was adopted, stating natural-born citizen is one born in the country, parents who are citizens of the country. First, Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Jay, well-known Washington letter, stated to George Washington, making it important for the chief to be a natural-born citizen, not to have a foreigner. Lastly, there was a question in regards to the 14th Amendment. And Julie Bingham, who was the framer of the 14th Amendment, in the discussions in Congress relating to the adoption of the 14th Amendment, specifically stated natural-born citizens is one who is born in the country, to parents who don't owe allegiance to other sovereignty. As you know, when Mr. Obama was forced, his father was a citizen, actually a British citizen, because in 1961, Kenya was part of.
So let me stop. Could you save your argument for the closing and let me hear from the witnesses? Your second witness, please.
Okay, Mrs. Frank?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Please. Just let the testimony about being is true, application?
I do, so hopefully not.
Mr. Strunk, do you recognize this document?
My name is Christopher Earl Strunk, and I'm from New York. I'd like to vote in Georgia, but it's not possible.
I'm just asking, do you recognize this document?
Yes, that is a portion of a letter which I received from the attorney for the Department of State, U.S. Department of State.
Okay, so now, what is this document? Is that the passport record of Stanley M. Dunham, Mr. Obama's mother? Yes.
This is a renewal form, taking him off of her passport.
Yes.
And
What is the last name that is listed there? Can you please the full last name for Mr. Obama on his mother's passport record?
Subarka, Soebarkah.
So in his father's passport records, Mr. Obama is listed under last name Soebarkah. According to the records that you personally see from the State Department.
I can't draw a conclusion on that.
Okay, but that's what is written there, Soebarkah, right?
Yes, she wanted that. She wanted that expunged from her record, which we never got.
Okay,
It
thank you,
was
Mr.
dog-hated.
Thank you, Mr. Strang.
Right.
Next,
You may send that.
it's gonna be, and we're gonna include, submit into evidence, the records freedom of information, request and response that was received by Mr. Strang, from the State Department showing that in his mother's records, Mr. Obama was listed under. Okay, next, witness is Susan Daniel.
Good morning.
Ms. Daniels, would you like to state to the court what's your occupation?
I'm a state licensed private investigator in Ohio
How many years have you been a licensed investigator?
since March of 1995.
Did you testify in court?
Yes.
Did you also testify before grand juries as an investigator?
Yes.
What did you investigate the identification record for Mr. Obama?
I was hired to look into his background, and the first thing I found was a social security number for him that was issued in the state of Connecticut between the years of 1977 and 79. And
So, during that time, Mr. Obama would have been 15, 16 years old. Where did he reside? Did he reside in the state of Connecticut at the age of 15 or 16?
no,
Where did he reside?
Hawaii.
Now,
And social security numbers are issued in the state that you live in when you apply for them.
okay, so what was your suspicion? What was your professional understand? What was your understanding as a professional investigator? What did it mean?
I looked at thousands of social security numbers, and I immediately knew it was fraudulent.
Thank you. Let's continue. Let's go higher. And I would like you to look at the next page. 1 second. Keep going. So, down, further down. So, okay, so this is, what was the number, the social security number actually that was used?
04268 or 425.
Now, do the first 3 digits of social security number signify the state?
Yes,
So 042 is what state?
is Connecticut. 040 to 049 is Connecticut.
Ms. Daniels, I would like to point to those numbers at the bottom.
Right.
Dates of birth associated with social security number. And we see the first date of birth is 1890. And for Mr. Barack Obama, which means that if Mr. Barack Obama, or Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, was born in 1890, he would have been 100.
So are you testifying?
What would be his age?
I'm I can't figure, I don't have enough fingers. But I have never, in all the years I've worked, I've never seen anything like this. I've seen where, like, the bottom two numbers where the American style and the foreign style appear, but never a number like 1890. And I believe that the person that originally got the Social Security number was born in 1890.
So what you are saying that it was a stolen social
Chance
security?
on don't make a difference.
I believe that.
You can't answer.
Pardon me?
So not a
Okay.
What is your understanding? What does it mean?
I believe from the beginning it was fraudulent.
Yes. So, and then you see 8461 and 4861. What does that mean?
That's just the two different styles that show his birth certificate, or his birth date. He was actually born on August 4th, 1961.
Now, did you also check his Obama's phone records?
First I ran the Social Security number to check addresses, and the same Social Security number came up with addresses for him in Massachusetts, in Illinois, and in Washington, D.C. And along with those records were a phone number, and it was always the same phone number, and occasionally the year where it showed his date of birth, it said 1890. I subsequently then checked the phone records for this phone number and found the same thing. It would show intermittently the birth date instead of August 4th, 1961, it said 1890.
Did you check, did you double check the social security numbers that before and after this one? From what state were those social security numbers?
I got copies from the Social Security Administration for the Social Security number ending in 24, which is the number immediately before his, and 29. And I got the actual records, including the handwritten application for the number, because both those people are deceased. And it showed that those were both issued in March 1977, when he would have been 15.
So, it is your testimony that the social security number that Mr. Barack Obama is using is a number that was issued to somebody who resided in the state of Tennessee
That's what I believe.
in 1977.
That's what I believe.
Anything else you would like?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. At this point, I would like to introduce the evidence. Our witness exhibit number 2, affidavit of Ms. Susan Daniels, with the attached documents. My
What
clerk,
is this point forward? The next one.
Mr. Papa.
Good morning.
Mr. Papa, can you please explain to the court what is your education?
Okay, first I'm an immigrant from the Philippines, and then I'm a naturalized born citizen of the United States. And then I studied information technology, having graduated from ITT Technical Institute in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then from there, we studied various software like Adobe software.
Sir, would you just listen to the question and only answer?
Okay.
Next question.
So your education is in information technology
That's correct.
from ITT. Mr. Papa, what kind of software do you usually use in your work?
With web designing and development, it's a popular software to use Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator.
Thank you. We are going to point to this document. Is that the affidavit that you provided me? Okay.
That's true.
Yes. Now, was that the birth certificate that, or alleged copy of a birth certificate that Mr. Obama posted online?
That's correct.
Now, was it, okay, let's go to the next page. Okay. So now, when Mr. Obama originally posted this posted certificate, it was in a PDF file, was it?
That's correct, yeah.
Was the file flattened, where all the layers of preparation of the file flattened together, or not?
No, it was not flattened, it was open.
So when you open this document in Adobe Illustrator, did you see one layer or did you see multiple layers?
I saw multiple layers, at least 6 layers.
Okay, so is that one of the layers?
This is one of the bottom layer.
Mr. Baba, I would like to point to the number at the top. We're seeing just one digit there. So where are the other digits? Were they added in another layer?
Yes, they were added from other graphics and added to this number.
So there was one document and then from another graphics from another document they added another part of the document. I would like to point to the signature, Stanley, and here it is only D. There is no Obama, it's missing. Was that brought from another document?
That's right.
Now, it was on the internet, originally the document was posted with the web layers, and shortly thereafter, when people opened Adobe Illustrator, there were no layers. What happened? Did somebody remove it and flatten the file and put it back, or what happened?
Nobody has, up to now, nobody has flattened the file, so anybody who uses Adobe Illustrator can open the files, and then they will see multiple layers.
Okay, now I'm going to point to the next document. Now, did you also study the tax returns that Mr. Obama posted online in April of in 2010?
Yes, I did.
Was there the same problem of the file, PDF file not being flattened?
No, it wasn't. Originally, it wasn't flattened, and anybody can open it, and then they will see at least 2 layers.
Okay.
And,
when you look at the layers, I pointed to the number here at the bottom that says 0.2684425. That wasn't one of the layers, right?
That's correct.
Is it the same number that Ms. Daniel specified to?
That's correct, yes.
Let's go to the next page. Okay. And here we see it's another page in tax returns with 0.42684425. The same social security number that Ms. Daniel specified to?
That's correct.
After a few days, was the file flattened?
Yes, actually after a day, then it was flattened, so nobody could see the social security numbers anymore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Papa. That would be all. I would like to introduce into evidence affidavit from submitted by Mr. Papa with regards to the birth certificate and social security number of Mr. Obama.
Council, who's your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm calling Ms. Linda Jordan.
Good morning. No.
Ms. Jordan, do you recognize the affidavit which is provided for me? Anyway, go to my set, what is that? If you don't mind, go to one set, and keep on putting it. Keep going. Yes, no. Okay, is that the document that was attached to your affidavit?
Yes, one of them.
Is that E-Verify for Mr. Obama?
Yes.
And is that the social security number that was on Mr. Obama's tax returns, 0426844425?
Yes.
What, keep going higher? No, down a bit. No. No, So, okay. What's your So, okay, what does it say here? The SSA record does not verify?
SSA record does not verify. Another reason SSA found a discrepancy in the record.
So the social security number that Mr. Obama is using from early years, according to Ms. Daniels, and that's listed on his tax returns, does not verify under E-Verify.
When I ran it on August 17th, 2011, it did not verify. It came back with this mark.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jordan. At this point, I would like to introduce into evidence the affidavit of Ms. Jordan and the E-Verify statement showing that the social security number that Mr. Obama is using does not verify under E-Verify.
Who's your next witness?
Next witness is going to be Mr. Douglas Watt.
Good morning, sir.
I do. Douglas Vogt. V-O-G-T.
Mr. Watt, would you like to speak to the court, please, your occupation?
I own a company called Archive Index Systems where we sell document imaging scanners as well as document imaging systems. I also own a typesetting company for 13 years.
So for 13 years, you dealt with typesetting and testimony.
I've been in the current business for 18 years now, selling scanners and maintaining.
Did you examine the alleged copy of a birth certificate which was posted online by Mr. Obama?
Yes, I did.
I would like to know if there were points going that you found to be suspicious. Was there anything that you found to be suspicious? And I would like first to ask you whether there was howling on this document.
Yes, the hailing we're referring to is around all the type and lines. It's a white line. First, we didn't quite know what it was till we finally actually replicated the form and actually redid the thing and figured out how the forger did it. The hailing was caused by it's a subroutine in Photoshop called unsharp mask. Now, you have to understand, if a document like this has any evidence of computer manipulation, it's a fraud. Since my experience in selling document imaging and actually writing those kind of programs,
This is what the Department of Health should have done, or what they supposedly have done. They had these original forms. There was a federal law that was passed in 2005 that required them to scan all the documents.
So, because we have very limited time, because we haven't done. So, what I have now, normally, if you just take the document, put it in a scanner, would you see how?
No, none whatsoever.
If you use multiple documents and multiple layers and masking, will you see harrowing them?
Yeah, if they use unsharp mask,
Okay.
you did.
Next point. When we are looking at on the left side of the document, we see sloping. Now, if the
Further
document,
page.
if the document was just scanned, was put in the scanner, would you see all of the lines sloping, or would you see some of the lines going straight?
I'll explain. They said in their own testimony that these documents were in books, the originals. So this was actually scanned on a flatbed scanner, 11 by 17. We've actually replicated the same thing. And so the parallax, or that curvature, would appear. You'll notice the lines on the bottom are not bent, but the ones on the top are. That's why. But it would be normal if it was scanned from a book.
Mr. Ward, I'm asking, when there is sloping, I understand that you take a book, you take a picture, you see sloping. But when you have sloping of the line, would you also see each line to be sloping similarly? Would you see that?
From a scanner, yes, you definitely know.
Was that something they should throw in Mr. Obama's birth certificate or not?
Yeah, yes, on how they copied it, yes.
But where there are lines that went straight.
Because I have to explain how a scanner works, so we don't want to.
No, don't have time.
Yeah. Basically, that's normal. We replicated the same thing here.
Mr. Walker, I'm asking you, if you have sloping, if you just go in the scanner and the lines are sloping, would you see all the lines sloping similarly?
No, if it was on a flatbed, it was just a piece of paper by itself, no.
Okay, let's go to the next point. When you look, so we are looking at the stamp that's on the document, the date stamp. If you do something that was just scanned, Mr. Block, somebody that scanned and wants to put a stamp, he said put like this, stamp. Would it be the same in the same spot in all three copies, or it would be different in different points?
They would be different. The date stamp and the other one are separate. They're actually embossed stamps, actually.
Okay, now, another question. If, and on Mr. Obama's record, all three of them, it was exactly in the same spot.
Yes.
Another question. When a person is stamping the date, he goes stamp, would it be a line, pixel by pixel, in a straight line, or would you expect it to be a little bit sideways, a little bit crooked?
No, they're two independent. They're done by hand, even though it's done by an embossing machine for both. We learned that.
Mr. Walker, but listen.
I am.
My question is, if a person is doing it by
They
hand,
won't be in exactly the same place.
okay, and listen, no. Would it be on the line? Would it be just on line, pixel by pixel, or would it be slanted a little bit?
It would be slanted.
Was it slanted here?
No, they're perfectly straight.
So it looks different from what you would expect when something coming from the machine, right? Next, in regards to the stamp, would you expect, if it's something Mr. Obama stated that it was just prepared, it was sent to him, his attorney wrote it right away. So if it's something that came straight from the machine, and they put embossed seal, would you expect to see a very clear embossed seal on that document?
Yes, you would.
Do you see it here?
No, it's a latent image. You have to highlight over by. I can show you here.
Okay,
Or about here.
but it's hard to see.
Oh, yeah.
Next, would you, now this is supposed to be a copy of a document created in 1961, which was created on a typewriter. on a typewriter, when you type letter by letter by letter, you don't see letters encroaching on the space.
Yeah, so is that the question or?
Question, which is, I'm just explaining,
What's the aberrations in the typewriter stuff?
the question is, would you expect coding or encroachment of one letter going to space of the other letter on a typewritten document?
No, typewriters basically are either 12 characters to an inch and they all fit in a specific box, 6
Okay.
points wide.
What about this document? Did you see coding here?
Yes, we did. I have examples of it here,
Okay,
but
okay.
can't show it.
Yeah, so you would not expect coding.
There was a T and a Y that were recurring, a couple other letters
Okay,
also.
doesn't matter which letter. So you saw coding here. Next,
The letter spacing was off too, and the line spacing too.
what about, did you check in terms of their number? The number ends with 641. Did you check the numbers? Was that sequential?
No, it was hard finding the law, but both there was a Model States Vital Statistics Act and the U.S. Department of Health and Education, as well as the Social Security system, that both say in the federal regs that all birth certificate numbers have to be sequential, and they start from 0 or 1 at January 1 at 12:01 a.m. and they have to be sequential. And in fact, in the Social Security system,
Okay, so I just asked for sequential.
Yeah.
That would be it. Thank you very much, Mr. Rock. And at this point,
your last witness.
is Mr. Sampson.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. How are you, sir?
I do, so help me God.
Okay, Mr. Sampson, can you please state to the court what is your education, or what is your professional experience?
Okay. First, my full name is John, middle initial and last name is Sampson, S-A-M-P as in Paul, S-O-N. Educationally, I received a Bachelor of Arts cum laude from Long Island University with a major in criminal justice and minor in psychology. I attended Thomas M. Cooley Law School in Lansing, Michigan for a period of 2 years. I did not graduate.
And where did you work?
Subsequent to that, I was a police officer in the state of New York for 18 months. Subsequent to that, I was hired by the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service. Began my career at John F. Kennedy Airport in 1981 in June as an immigration inspector. I received on-the-job training and classroom instruction at Kennedy Airport. My instructor was the intelligence officer for the airport, and we specialized in fraudulent documents and immigration fraud. I subsequently went into the enforcement branch of immigration 2.5 years later, and ultimately became a senior deportation officer, where I remained in New York, then to New Jersey, back to New York. In 1985, I moved to Colorado, and I retired for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Department of Homeland Security, which was a successor agency to INS in August of 2008.
Mr. Sampson, did you testify in court as an expert on immigration and deportation?
I testified before federal grand juries and administrative law judges in deportation. I'm sorry.
Because we have so little time, I just want to move on. So you have extensive experience as a senior deportation officer. When is the first time we discussed Mr. Obama's records?
November of 2009, after I retired, I formed my own consulting firm and have been self-employed since January 2009 to this day.
Is that the affidavit that you provided?
Yes, it is.
And is that an affidavit in regards to the social security number of Mr. Obama?
It's the affidavit of the number that he is using.
What did you find in your professional experience and knowledge? What did you find in regards to his social security number?
When I ran the social security number through Locate Plus, which is a commercial database that's used by private investigators and law enforcement personnel and attorneys, the only person who was associated and affiliated with 042684425 was Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. It gave me a list of his addresses, driver's license information, other background information, possible relatives, etc. It also indicated that the Social Security number was issued in 1977 to a person residing in the state of Connecticut at the time that that number was assigned.
Was Mr. Obama, did Mr. Obama ever reside in the state of Connecticut?
Not to my knowledge, no. All the information and data that I have is specifically in that period of time he was residing with his maternal grandparents, Stanley Armour Dunham and Madeline Payne Dunham, in Hawaii.
Did you also review the birth certificate, the alleged copy of a birth certificate that Mr. Obama posted online?
I've seen it and I have a copy of it, yes.
Was there anything suspicious about this birth certificate?
There are three issues of concern as far as I can tell. Number one, the serial number that's in the upper right-hand corner is out of sequence, and when compared to two other birth certificates issued to two twins that were born the day after Mr. Obama was born, and whose certificates were issued 3 days after his was supposedly issued. Their serial numbers are lower, although you would expect them to be higher given the fact that they were subsequent to his. The second thing is that the certification paragraph that's contained in their birth certificates is somewhat different than the certification paragraph that is contained in the Obama birth certificate. And last but not least, the name of the local registrar for the Obama birth certificate is different than the one on the Nordyke twins. And you would think that given the fact that they were born within 24 hours of each other, the local registrar would have been the same, given the fact that they were born in the same medical facility at the same location.
Mr. Sampson, so what was your suspicion when you studied the social security number and the birth certificate of Mr. Obama, in your professional opinion?
In my opinion, I believe that there's credible evidence to warrant further investigation in the issuance of court orders requesting unsealing of records in Hawaii, as well as the release of records from the Social Security Administration as to who the owner of 042684425 is.
Mr. Sampson, Ken Allen testified to the fact that he received immigration records of Mr. Lawrence Arturo, Mr. Obama's stepfather. Those were made public. Did you study those immigration records?
I have a copy of them and I have looked at them, yes.
Was there any redacting in those records?
My understanding, reading the letter, the transmittal letter that was accompanying the document, the A file, what is called the alien file, or the A file, that was sent to Mr. Allen, was that they redacted a portion of some of the documents. I believe 6 of them were redacted, and there were 7 pages that were withheld in their entirety due to Privacy Act concerns.
Mr. Sampson, are there usually reductions in the records of deceased individuals?
No.
So, let's see, who could have been on the immigration records of Lola Soetoro, who is not deceased today? Is Mr. Soetoro deceased?
Mr. Soetoro is deceased, Ms. Dunham is deceased, the grandparents are deceased, Mr. Barack Obama Sr. is deceased. Maya Soetoro Eng was not born at the time and therefore was not part of this at the time that Stanley Ann Dunham petitioned to have her spouse, Mr. Soetoro, classified as an immediate relative to receive an immigrant visa.
So what would be your conclusion? Who could have been listed on Mr. Soetoro's immigration records, which was the reason for reduction?
The only person that I can come to mind would be Barack Hussein Obama II, also known as Barry Soetoro.
Now, next question, Mr. Sampson. In your opinion, as a U.S. citizenship, and he never lost his citizenship while living in Indonesia, would he need immigration records? Would he need to immigrate?
No, there would be no need for him to be issued an immigrant visa. He would be considered a U.S. citizen and be able to travel to the United States as a citizen.
Knowing all the information that you have in regards to Mr. Obama, what would be your conclusion, and what do you believe that needs to be done, or what would you do in cases similar to this with this kind of records?
It would warrant further investigation. What I would do if I was still working with immigration is I would be getting the originals of the documents I just mentioned. I would go to the Social Security Administration and request a copy of the SS-5, which is the actual handwritten application for a Social Security number. I would also request the state of Hawaii submit a certified copy of any birth records, so this way we could rule in or rule out whether or not he was born in Hawaii.
How about immigration and passport records?
I would be going to the State Department Office of Passport Services to see if there are any U.S. passports issued.
And if those are not provided, or the U.S. Attorney is not willing to proceed with those steps, what would you do?
Well, first, let me clarify. In the event we would be conducting an investigation, it would primarily be a criminal investigation to determine whether any charges should be filed. And the way the procedure works in the federal system is that you would do a report, submit it to the United States Attorney's Criminal Division, so that they could review it, determine whether or not they would accept it for prosecution. Assuming that they declined it, the alternative would be if there was evidence to suggest that the individual in question was not a citizen of the United States and in fact had falsely claimed to be a U.S. citizen, that person could be placed in deportation proceedings because falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen is a separate and entirely standalone charge for deportation purposes.
Would it be sufficient for warrant for this person's arrest?
So that would be how you would commence a removal proceeding. You would request a administrative arrest warrant signed by the field office director, notice to appear in removal proceedings, and a custody determination to determine whether or not the individual would be held in custody, released under recognizance, or some other alternative to detention, such as electronic ankle monitor or something like that.
So, just to clarify, for the court, if the U.S. Attorney refuses to proceed to act as a deportation officer, you would have been seeking a warrant for arrest of this individual and deportation.
I would be seeking a warrant of arrest and an issuance of a notice to appear on any individual who made a false claim to United States citizenship and who was not clearly a citizen or was clearly admitted for permanent residence.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. At this point, I would like to admit into evidence the affidavit of Mr. Simpson and the attached documents.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Counsel, I'm ready to hear your closing argument.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm just going to give Mr. Simpson's affidavit.
Yes.
So, what do we have in this case? We have records from Mr. Obama from Indonesia, where he went to school and went under the last name Suratoro, nationality Indonesian. Now, what's interesting about those records from Indonesia, that we just saw a minute ago, it stated that Mr. Obama went to school in Indonesia from January 1st, 1968. And here's another picture. And this is a well-known picture. It was published in multiple papers of Mr. Obama with his friend, and it states 1969, third grade, and that's a picture from Hawaii. So So we have two records. We have a record from Indonesia where there is a boy who goes by name Barry Sumitoro, who at least for a period of 2 years, 1968 and 69, resides in Indonesia and goes by name Barry Sumitoro. We have another boy who during the same time, 1968 and 69, resides in Hawaii and goes by name Barry Obama. And we have no idea which boy came back to this country. Keep going. Next document. So this is Mr. Obama's application to become.
Counsel, let me interrupt you. Are you testifying?
I can actually testify.
No, you don't have to.
I
asked you to close an argument. No, wait.
Actually, since I was the one
What personal knowledge do you have?
I personally obtained those documents.
Okay. And no, hold on. That's not personal knowledge.
I have, this is the official law registration that was, that is available online. I personally downloaded it from online records of the Illinois bar. And that's Mr. Obama's registration as an attorney in the state of Illinois. And I would like to testify under oath. It's actually not only this, but other areas. Since I was the one who did most of the research, I will testify. Yes, I do. So here, what is important about this record? It says full license name Barack Hussein Obama. Full former names, none. We've already seen that in his mother's records, passport records, Mr. Obama is listed by last name Soya Barca. We've seen that in his records in Indonesia, he is listed under name Soya Toro. So clearly, Mr. Obama was committing forgery when he applied for this record. I actually personally contacted the Illinois bar and inquired about it. I was told that since Mr. Obama is inactive, it's not a problem. I contacted the bar again and I demanded investigation. At which time, Mr. Obama's record as an attorney was changed from inactive to not allowed to practice law. Mr. Obama has resigned from the bar. He gave up his law license, and I believe
How is that relevant? So counsel to the legal issue.
it is relevant to the fact that he is hiding his identity under his prior names, Soetoro and Soebar. And we have a whole record of Mr. Obama going through life hiding records. Next.
Counsel, I'm going to ask you to submit your testimony
Sure.
in writing.
Okay.
Let's make a closing argument.
Okay. Your Honor, U.S. citizens have cherished constitutional rights. Their First Amendment right to free speech. Voting is a political speech that is extremely important. Our democracy rests on this. Women fought for years in suffrage movement for this right to be able to vote. Minorities right here in the South fought for their rights. My clients are fighting for their right to vote for a person who is legitimate. They are fighting for their right to participate in lawful elections that are free from fraud and forgery. The plaintiffs have shown, and the witnesses that testified here have shown that not only there is a constitutional problem in that with Mr. Obama's eligibility that his father was not a U.S. citizen, but we have clear evidence of fraud and forgery in Mr. Obama's birth certificate, his social security number, and since those are primary documents, and all the other documents that were issued based on those two. We also presented evidence showing that Mr. Obama used other last names, Soetoro and Soebarca, and we do not have any evidence of him legally changing his name from Soetoro was changed. Brief a little bit about the plaintiffs submit that they proven that they met their burden of proof, and Mr. Obama should be found ineligible. Moreover, I have issued a subpoena. Your Honor has stated to Mr. Obama that the subpoena needs to be honored. He should have been here with certified documents with embossed seal to show that indeed he has anything. So far, the only thing that Mr. Obama has shown is a computerized image that could have been created yesterday that he was posting on magazine t-shirts. Magazine t-shirts are not a prima facie evidence. Not one single judge in the country has found that Mr. Obama is legitimate for presidency. All the cases, we call it in the media, fraudulent statements that came from Mr. Obama's attorney, Mr. Jablonski, that the issue was litigated, it was proven he was eligible. That's fraud. It was never litigated on the merits. Not one judge stated that Mr. Obama has a valid birth certificate. Not one judge stated that he has a valid social security number. Not one judge found that Obama is legally his name, or that person sitting in the White House imitated Barack Obama. It was never heard on the merits. It was never heard in the court of law on the merits, and therefore the plaintiffs are asking to rule on the merits. Also, because our report is due by February 5th, I will ask your Honor for matters of authority. I've worked for 3 years trying to get additional documents. I was threatened, engaged, and without letters of authority from your Honor to the person appointed in Hawaii to issue a local subpoena to the Department of Health and letter of authority to the district court to get Mr. Obama's passport, immigration, and social security records, we would not be able to get any original records. So I would ask not only to find that Mr. Obama is not eligible based on the documents that we have, but also letters of authority so we can disclose all the original records if they exist or to the other states. So there will be consistency between all 50 states. And Mr. President has stated, if it would have been anybody else, it would have gone to a one-time license deportation. We are all equal under the law in this country. A poor person in the poorhouse or a president in the White House are all equal under the law, and I'm asking your Honor to also hold Mr. Obama in contempt of court due to the fact that subpoena was issued and he intentionally disrespected the judicial rights of the subpoena. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, counsel. May I have your exhibits from
Yes.
those, please?
Thank you.
May I, in case may I have the exhibits? Thank you very much. This concludes the hearing for today. Have a good day.
Actually, there's a truck downstairs, and Ira's also there to help us.
Okay. Are you gonna shoot sound or give them sound to shoot?
I don't know. I've got it. This is 12 o'clock show.
They're asking us to shoot sound here, and I'm thinking, we're here.
You're going to do sound there.
Let me.
I don't know. I mean, I think these are interesting. The rest of the critical. I guess so.
It all worked out. There's not many things I can do, but I do answer the bell.
You do, yeah. There's
Basically,
Kevin Davidson.
sound.
Okay, I know you. We both know. We both have
All the audio first.
I got one.
I guarantee that's you.
We think it does quite a bit. You just go to the next row, get over there, that would be great.
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying you haven't gotten.
How do you like my purse? You like the
I'll let you know my deal. I know it's on your history, but.
Hi, Susan Daniels. Can you just tell us how you thought it went today?
I thought it went very well. Obviously, each of us brings something different to this hearing. And when you put it all together, it becomes very compelling.
Well, good to meet you. We don't agree, but
And Susan, how do you think, when it comes to your testimony, what you offered on the record? Tell us what you did offer on the record, just to reiterate that.
Yeah, I started 2.5 years ago on this. And what I did is I started by just running his name on databases that are only accessible to people who are licensed, private investigators or law enforcement. I discovered immediately the Connecticut Social Security number and knew immediately that it was fraudulent. Just based on all the years I've worked as an investigator. I knew it was not, there was no way that it was accurate. So then I started doing background information on running the Social Security number and started coming up with all these different addresses with him after that address all over the country. You know, as I mentioned, in Illinois, his home, in Massachusetts when he was a student there, in Washington when he was a senator. With these addresses, the more work I did with the addresses, then I found the year 1890, which appeared when I found the original Social Security number. I then ran the phone number. It was the same phone number with every address. Obviously, it must have been self-reviewed because it traveled with every single address. I ran those, and again, half the time it would come up with his date of birth, and the other part of the time it would come up with the year 1890. Now we know he was not born in 1890. The number was issued in March of '77. I was able to prove that through documents through Social Security based on other numbers around his, and found that it was issued in March 1977 without equivocation. It had to have been, and he was 15 years old at the time. In February of 1977, he was playing on the JV basketball team in Hawaii, Punahou, and they even went to the state finals then. The following month, he's in Connecticut applying for a Social Security number. I don't think so.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for coming to Atlanta and testifying.
My pleasure, believe me. I've been waiting for 2.5 years for the opportunity to tell people that he's using a fraudulent Social Security number.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Using forged and fraudulent